Thank you for joining us on one more episode here on our channel. And I want to introduce to you today my co-host Prisma Lopez.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. It's an honor to have Vanessa Barca with us today. She is a great friend of mine. I've known her for quite some time now, so I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us. So let's start off. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Hi, my name is Vanessa. I'm a realtor here in Georgia. I was born in Mexico and I was raised here in the States. A little bit about my childhood is my mom and my aunt, Monica. They're the ones that raised me. One of the most important things that they both taught me is that my mom was my coach and my aunt was my mentor. So it was a great combination because my mom always pushed me for more, and she
Great business
not even
owner.
not even your best is good enough. So I like that. She never let me be comfortable.
You shoot to greatness.
And my aunt, she was always very motivating and positive, and she would tell me that I was capable of big things. So that, I think, is what helped me with my mindset now that I'm an adult, because I genuinely believe that I'm capable of anything and that anything that I want to do, that I can achieve it. So I'm really, really thankful for that.
For sure. Thank you for joining us.
hmm
So when and where did you get your certificate, your real estate license?
Georgia MLS, they have a location in Morrow as well as Tucker. I took mine in online, and it's a 75-hour course.
Okay.
After you take the course, you take a final exam with the school. I believe that they give you 2 tries. After the second try, you have to take the course again. But if you manage to pass that final exam, you can then take your state exam.
Okay. And what's it like? So you have 2 exams. You have the school exam and then the state exam. Can you
Right.
tell me a little bit about those?
Yeah. So the school exam is what gives you I guess you can say, the certificate of completion of
Okay.
the 75
100
hours.
Mhm.
And then you take that to the state, and you go and you take your exam, and that's how you get your license. But you have to pay to take the exam with the state,
Okay.
and then if you pass, then you pay to get your license.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. And were you working another job while you were working on your license?
Yes, I was working a few jobs at the same time, but I transitioned out of them and I worked with my aunt, with her team. I was her admin, her assistant.
Okay.
So while I was doing the course, I was also working with her.
Awesome. And what was that like? Juggling your job and studying for these exams at the same time? Because I know that for some people, exams are very daunting. And when you hear the word exam, like people they go into panic mode. So, how did you juggle that? Do you have any tips for people that are, working another job while they want to take this exam? Do you have any tips?
My experience was different because I had purchased the online course, but I wouldn't pay much attention to it. So then I purchased the in-person course as well, simultaneously. And I went to class, I think twice, maybe 3 times. When I realized the time that it was going to take to commute, sit in class, and come back, I decided to just finish my online course. And by then, I had realized that it was going to expire in a week. So I had to finish it in a week. And thank God I was able to. I was able to finish it in a week. And basically, I had to do it over the weekend because I was working. And
Finish it.
yeah, you told me, I remember you said you have to accept the worst case scenario. If you accept that, you're going to be able to get it done. So she said, eat, breathe, and sleep real estate. And that's what I did.
Wow.
I was able to finish it that weekend, so I did it over the weekend, and then I took my test. I failed the first time and then I took it again and I passed. So,
Wow.
mhm.
I love that. I love the commitment. And you said you failed.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
It's
normal.
It's life nowadays.
It's life, yeah.
You're gonna probably fail a couple of exams before you pass.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and that's part of it, right?
Mhm.
And then it makes you appreciate it more when you have it, right? Because you're like, I worked for this.
Absolutely.
So that exam, it's very comprehension based. So it's not a matter of memorizing the material, it's more of understanding it. So I would, what do you say? I would advise to pay attention in class, to take the cram course, and then go take your test.
Awesome. It's not like a vocabulary term, you just memorize it. It's more like how can you apply that word
Yeah, your study guide is not
to a
going to look
problem.
like your test.
Wow.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also something good that she just mentioned is the cram course. So after you complete your 75 hours, the school gives you a test and they also give you a cram course. So a cram course is basically a very intense day. Normally it's in person, right? Like you can take it in person, but I'm sure the local schools can advise you more into the cram course, but I would say definitely take the cram course because they literally go over the exam.
Oh, okay.
And there's many real estate schools, but I recommend Georgia MLS Real Estate School. They have the best cram course. That's the one that helped me pass.
Yeah, I love Georgia MLS as well.
Perfect. So how long have you been a real estate agent?
I've been a real estate agent since 2017.
Okay.
It's 5 years.
5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I love the 5 year cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like, at least me, I just feel like my life changes every 5 years. So I get very excited about
Yeah,
5 years.
I was your assistant and I was in
Yes.
college and I was working 2 other jobs
Yes.
for like almost 4 years and then I decided to be a realtor and so
Yes.
it's,
So she started working with me when the market was crash, which it was almost pretty much when I had started as well. And when you think about somebody working day in to day out, that's her. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be like at the office working 6, 7 o'clock, 8, and I'll be like, Vanessa, go home. And she'll be like, no, we're almost done. Like, I just couldn't get her home. And there was a time that she was processing 20 contracts a month. And for anybody that processes contracts, that's a lot. Like a lot of houses for me to sell and for her to process. So, I mean, she's good. She's good when it comes to managing stress, and I think that's one of the things you need in these
yeah, you have
in
to
this
thrive in
career.
pressure.
Awesome.
So, what was your first year like? Because it is different. You and I have talked about it's not the same when you are like behind the computer on a desk processing contracts and you kind of feel like, oh, I got this, but then you get to the field and you're like, whoa, like something different, right? Tell us about that.
That is a question I've been asked before. They asked me it helped if it helped being an assistant first and then transitioning into a realtor. And I mentioned to you that in a way it did with, for example, communication skills because I was able to know how to talk to clients, but it was something completely different.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do one thing with the other.
Yeah, yeah, because the contract is already written by the time the transaction coordinator gets it. But then when you are in sales, it is up to you on what is the best way to write the contract. So
it involves sales, negotiation, problem solving, getting to the closing tables. Those were not things that you do as an assistant.
yeah,
So it was completely different.
yeah, for sure.
So what were some challenges that you faced during your first year?
Some challenges.
Besides the whole year, because everything is so challenging when you start.
It is nonstop. It never ends. It's real estate is kind of like a house. Your chores are never you're never done. So I guess that it never ends. But I loved it, so I wouldn't necessarily call that a challenge. But that is something that people tell me sometimes when they get their license. They're like, no, like it's too much work.
Yeah. So here is one of the things that I always hear, like, oh, I got into this business because I thought that I was gonna have more time for myself.
Yeah.
But in reality, it is a business. So when you open a new business, guess who's the one that works the most? The owner. So it's like very different which is not so different for Vanessa because she worked regardless, even when she was working as a transaction coordinator. But when you have like a job, you get to go home and to rest.
Disconnect.
But when you are a real estate agent, you can go home, but you have to open your computer at the kitchen while you cook because you might get a call on an offer you're negotiating. And you have to be available to negotiate that, or something may have happened to a house that you need to be aware of, or a neighbor might call and say, oh, somebody just broke in on the house that you have for sale.
The alarm set off.
Yeah, the alarm set off. Like you always have to be working. You can be typing contracts in the middle of the night because you know
On
how important it
vacation.
is to negotiate the house. So it's really interesting.
You have to expect the unexpected.
Yes, that's one thing that people tell me. They're like, oh, I thought that when you're a realtor that you have a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
And what that necessarily means is that you have to be flexible because, for example, I have clients that sometimes work night shifts, so
Yeah.
they're my 9 a.m. showings or meetings. And I have clients who work in the all throughout until like 5, 6 o'clock. So I'm also showing homes or negotiating, etc., from 7 onward. So basically, you have to be available whenever the time is needed.
Wow.
So knowing what you know now and looking back to your first year, there's always so much to learn from your own mistakes, and the more successful you are, the more mistakes you made, because that's actually how you learn, by making mistakes. So what would you do differently if you were to look back and say, I wish I would have known and I would have done this? Anything that comes to mind to you that you were to change?
Me personally, I would have started sooner, like when you told me to do it. That's what I wish. I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would had made a decision because I was like, oh, should I continue this? Should I do that? So once I got into real estate, what would I have done different? I guess follow systems. You told me something that has always stuck with me, and I learned it with experience, with trial and error. You told me don't try to reinvent the system. You said follow the system. With that being said, take seminars, classes. Someone is already doing what you want to do, so just follow the process.
Yeah, and that's really good advice because most agents in my industry, I'm sure you have noticed, are willing to share what they know, are willing to tell you, don't do that, you're going to bump your face right into the wall. And I would say definitely seek a mentor or a coach. A lot of people are willing to share and obviously listen, right?
Yeah, or read. There's books.
Yeah.
There's really good books like by Gary Keller. He writes really good books, and he basically gives you what to do, and also to be willing to work, to do what you don't really want to do. Like, don't expect things to fall on your lap. You have to be a go-getter.
Yeah, and something else I have noticed, I don't know if you share the same opinion, is some agents, not all of them, they just got their real estate license and they feel like they have to take so many classes to do this job, and then they end up wasting a whole year in classrooms and don't feel capable. And I always tell them, like, no, just go out there and work. And then once you find the house for your buyer, then go back and seek help. Like, how do I write this contract? How do I negotiate it? What do I do to help, the buyer in these situations? So I would say don't wait until you think because you'll never get experience like that. And I feel like the more you wait, the more nervous that it makes you, or the more aware that it makes you of all the things that you are not doing. So
you learn as you go.
yeah, I would say get out there, do an open house, and partner with another agent. Join a team. I always recommend people to join a team because you get like one-on-one help. Would you think it's the same thing for you, that you have seen the same thing?
Yes, I always advise agents to either join a team or hire a coach. And then I basically give them an idea of what to expect. And what I always say is that no one is necessarily going to hold your hand, but they'll guide you. So you have to be willing to receive advice and then put it into action.
Nice.
Perfect. I love that. You have to take that leap, take that risk. So what's your day-to-day like?
So the mornings, the best way to start off is to do what's called lead generating, which is phone calls. And then towards the middle of the day, you can process contracts or what they call put out any fires, any pending tasks, whether it's an amendment, negotiations, review and inspections, and so forward. And then towards the afternoon, have your appointments, and then towards the evening, it's really important. You taught me to have a checklist throughout your day. If something comes in, whether it's a phone call or you need to send someone home, whatever the case, the task may be, to create a checklist and at the end of the day, see whatever it is that you didn't complete and then take it to the next day.
I love that. I love that because, and I recommend this to everyone.
Yeah, any field.
Checklist, the scratching out is so satisfying.
Yeah.
And it feels so good to, you're at the end of the day and you said, I did this, I did that, I did that. I can rest
It's
now.
rewarding.
It's rewarding, absolutely.
Yeah, it's rewarding. I like that advice. So you would say your regular day in the morning, you focus on phone calls, calling people, returning calls, checking messages, and then you do paperwork and search for houses, and then the rest of the evening on a perfect day.
Yeah, because of course sometimes you have to be willing
Flip
to
it.
move your day around.
Yeah. I think that real estate is like a lot of other careers, that the ability to shift, it's a must. Like, you have to be willing and able to shift without overly stressing yourself. So when you look at it as a normal, then it becomes normal and you become good at it, at shifting your schedule. Because there is no fixed schedule. There is no fixed schedule, because if something happens with a loan and you need to step in, then you might be on time blocking while doing your paperwork, but then guess what? You have to prioritize and you have to make aside everything that you have to do in order to be able to respond to whatever came in.
Yes, so there's no routine, but you do have to keep a schedule. It's important to time block and to prioritize.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You have to be willing, like you said, to shift and shape to whatever the circumstances are.
Yes, definitely. Having a routine is important for everybody. Like you have to have a fixed routine on what is it that you do every day in order to minimize chaos. Minimize.
Yeah.
Minimize it because it just changes. So, what qualities, according to your opinion, do you think? Let's say somebody that is watching the channel and says, you know what, I think I could do that. Like, I like the real estate and I want to give it a try, but they're not sure if they can do it. Like, what qualities do you feel like they have to possess in order to be successful?
Self-driven, enthusiastic, problem solver. What else? And you have to be able to see the bigger picture.
I got it.
This is not a business where you have an immediate reward, meaning that you could be working on a case for X amount of time, but if you're someone who you're more motivated by an immediate reward, you'll get discouraged by this field. However, if you're able to see the bigger picture, you're going to stick through it because at the end of the road, you'll get done whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that because real estate is commission based. So you basically don't get a check unless you sell something. Like the only way you can get paid as a real estate professional is if you actually sell something. And it's important to know that it is a business and you have to be self-driven, like you said.
Yeah, like for example, while you're making your calls, when you're doing your showings, when you're doing your appointments, no one's paying you to do that immediately. No, you're not on payroll. No one, but
and it may not close.
Yeah, it may and it may or may not close. Not everyone
you may put in 3
right
months
away.
Of work.
Exactly. Not everyone qualifies right away, whatever the case may be. So you have to be able to understand the process and trust it and be okay with I guess not expect anything.
Yeah,
away.
The way I see it is like I feel like you have to have a good life philosophy that once pay for others. So I always feel like it'll compensate. Like maybe, and I have noticed this, and you'll probably find it funny, but it has been true for me that I'll have one that I like work my butt off, and whatever reason, they don't buy. And I put in so many hours of work, but I always feel like it'll always work out. Like once pay for others, and then right behind it, I'll have another one that it's super easy. Somebody calls and they're like, "Hey, I found a house, and I want to make an offer." And you're like, "You want me to make an appointment to see it?" No, it's actually open. I already saw it. So it's like you go from working your butt off on one to only having to type a contract for somebody else. And then obviously there's work that comes behind that too. But I just feel like it's important to be positive, to have a good life philosophy, and to just believe that everything works out for good and that somehow it'll compensate. And I think that it's like the attitude that you have, always giving your best no matter what. And if you can work like that, like just giving your best in every situation, no matter what the outcome is, I feel like things just come together, right?
Yeah. Just, be driven.
Absolutely. I love that mindset. To have a good mindset.
Yeah, it has to be self-driven for sure.
So, what is the average income? And we mentioned that it's commission based.
Yes, it's commission based. I did some research, and the National Association of Realtors, they had that in 2021, the average realtor was making, I think it was somewhere between 45 to 48,000. But it could be anywhere where you'll have no closings. Maybe you'll have 3 in the entire year, or you could reach a level where you're making 6 figures.
So it all depends.
It's like any other career.
Yes.
Commission.
And always expect to make very little on your first year. Like on my first year of real estate, I made like 15,000, and that was without my deductions. Like that was on my
Imagine.
yeah, on my 1099. So after the gas, the meals, the supplies, whatever else, I probably walk away with
The experience.
$6,000 in the experience.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely
Honestly,
be open for that.
I would say that it's like any other business. Your first 3 years, you are
Yeah.
working because I had many closings. However, like she mentioned, after expenses and all of that, the money, the end result, it wasn't much.
Mhm.
However, you learn the gist of it, and then from then on, I read that, well, I did more research on it, but you mentioned to me the 10,000 rule, the 10,000 hour rule. So
Mhm.
it says that to master a subject or a skill, it takes 10,000 hours.
Mhm.
I did, and then I was interested to see how long that would take, and it said that if you worked 80 hours a week for an entire year, you would be able to reach those 10,000 hours within 2.5 years. So with that being said, it does take almost three years to
Mhm.
to learn and get the experience that you need.
Master your skill.
Hmm.
That's awesome. So with that being said, what are some opportunities in for growth in this field?
So there's different, I guess you can say, things that you can do with your license. You can either be a licensed assistant, you can be a buyer's agent, a listing agent, you can do both. You can work, what was it called again? New home sales consultant.
Mhm.
You can work in property management, do BPOs, or you can be something that's called an ISA, an in sales agent,
Mhm.
and basically you're converting leads for agents who are out on the field, and they pay you a referral. So there's many different things you can do with your license.
Mhm. Real estate is one of the professions that I really love because of all the things that you can do with it. So the ISA that she is mentioning, you can literally move to Costa Rica and work for a real estate company here and take all their phone calls from there. And you can give the buyers or the sellers information that they are requesting, or you can do phone calls for sales calls from another country. And normally ISAs can make a small salary, but they'll get a good bonus commission on every sale. And the property management, it's also good because if for example you have your license and you say, you know what, I don't like negotiating, I don't like what I'm doing, I don't like showing houses, I don't like selling houses, but I got my real estate license, like what do I do? Then you can do property management. So property management is basically an owner telling you, I want to lease my property,
Okay.
and you list it out for them, and you basically get like the first month's rent is for you as the property management, and then you can also negotiate with the owner to collect the rents and do things like that, send out letters, get the costs from the tenants when something goes wrong, and then you can make an additional percentage every month on that. So where does the money come from on that is from a portfolio. So if that's all you do, and we can definitely have a video later about property management, but if it's all you do, like once you have a portfolio of like 1,000 houses, like your income is amazing.
You can have an entire company.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, like we have agents that run that business from home. They have babies and they have a home office.
Staff.
Yeah, they have
Wow.
staff at their house. and they're running their business and they barely ever have to leave the house, only to put the lockbox and to look at the property and tell
Talk to the owner.
Yeah, tell the owner how much is going to rent for. So that's a really good position. And like any other career, you can work your way up. So let's say that you have done this for 20 years, you're tired, you don't have the energy to be negotiating, then you can get your broker license and become a compliance broker. So what it does is you review all the contracts and find any errors that an agent might have made, and this is to protect them. Then you send the contract back and say, hey, this needs to be corrected before you close. So every company has and needs a compliance broker. So it does require like extensive attention to detail, because that's the whole job, like catching little things, and catching little things that agents miss.
Right.
So that's also good. And if you say, okay, well, I have my real estate license, I didn't like being an agent, and I just need money, like a fixed income, then you can also be a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
So a transaction coordinator, it's partly what Vanessa used to do. So you get the contract, you schedule inspections, you have communication with the buyer or the seller. You basically coordinate the whole event all the way until closing. And then that doesn't involve any negotiations. Every time there is money involvement or negotiating, it goes back to the owner of the contract. But there has been a lot of agents that have made a company out of coordinating contracts. So that's something that also can be done, and it's just become a transaction coordinator. Again, for that you have to have high attention to detail, because pretty much you are coming behind the agent that is always on the road, that is always busy negotiating, moving from one place to the other, working from the car, from the coffee shop. So the transaction coordinator has to be working from a desk and full focus on the contract to be able to catch anything that was missed when it was negotiated, and also to be able to do the transaction. And we also can do BPOs. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So BPOs, when there are short sales, you can give your run comps and then give your opinion of the value of a property.
Yeah, that's basically what it stands for, is a broker price opinion. And banks pay for those.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if you have a homeowner that is behind on their mortgage and the bank wants to foreclose or give the homeowner opportunities to resell.
And if they want to avoid the foreclosure, they can do a short sale.
Yeah, they can do a short sale.
Right before it closes, they need a BPO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So there's so many options. If, let's say, somebody comes in, but then they find out, well, I don't really like to be on the road. I don't really like
the adrenaline of negotiating.
Or I'd rather be stable and behind a desk and focused without speaking to many people in person.
Yeah.
So that's great. I love that.
Yeah, it has a lot of things that you can do. I really like that as well.
So what are some other fields that outside of real estate, do you know of any that outside of real estate that you can go into having a real estate license, that people have branched off into, that you know of?
For example, you can, I think that leasing consultants, sometimes it's a plus if they have their license, but don't quote me on that, because I think that they can't like pick up leads or anything from that.
Got it.
But no.
Like apartment complexes, like be the leasing agent. Is that what you mean? Yeah, I think you can do that.
Okay.
But I do know that there's restrictions. For example, like I believe that you can't pick up leads from that.
Okay. Oh.
Like for your for the realtor, to be a realtor.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So you can get in some trouble if you.
Yeah, so
It just has
basically,
restrictions.
basically everything we named.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah.
So what is driving you to be your best?
What is driving me to be my best? I just have something in me that it doesn't give me, I don't want to say like peace, but something like that. Like I always,
You're eager for success.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't, what do you call it?
Can't stop.
Settle.
I can't, I'm not easily satisfied, I guess you can say. Like
Yeah.
once I reach something, I'm always thinking of next.
More.
But that's that. And because I really do envision like a bigger life for myself, and not necessarily that I'll get it through being a realtor, but I know that it's going to be a part of my path.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, education is a lot about personal growth. And something that I know it sounds very cliche, but I can I can say that it's true for me, is that at the end of the day, it is not about the final outcome of your life, but who you become as a person while pursuing that. You'll change so much.
Yes, this career was, um, I guess, character development for me.
Yeah.
It helped me mature. It helped me discover things about myself that I didn't know were there. Um, Passion. It's funny because I've always had issues with commitment, with like, for example, like sticking to a diet, sticking to a favorite color.
That's hard.
Anything like that, right?
Yeah.
But real estate, I've never had a problem with committing to it. I've always been like completely committed from day one. Like if I have to step out of the birthday celebration, if I have to miss a wedding, whatever it takes, it's never been hard for me to pick my career.
I love that. Absolutely. And we talk all the time, so it's I know she has that drive, and it's good that you think that way and that you're always on the go. And
it goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning, that my mom, since she was like a coach to me, I remember I'd be like, oh look, I got all A's, Mom. Yeah. And it really, really helped me how she would react, because as an adult, you can't always expect a pat on the back. With that being said, she told me, she said, good for you. She said, your only job is you, and only you will benefit for what you do for yourself.
As you should, you have nothing else to do.
Yeah. So she said that my only job was me. So that I think that really helped me as an adult, because
put the responsibility on you.
Yeah, because I like, even as a kid, like the awards, and after she said that, I wouldn't even tell her when I got a certificate, a diploma, an award. I didn't even bother telling her because I already knew what she was going to say. With that being said, that's what, I guess, my upbringing helped me where I am now, where I'm never satisfied. Yeah. But it's because she never let me be comfortable. And you always helped me with believing in myself. You would tell me that I was capable of big things. And whether you believed it or not, hey, the placebo effect, whether you truly believed that or not, it worked for me, because it really did help me believe in myself. Because I would be like, wow, like, she thinks I can do that. Like, she thinks I'm really smart. Who knows? Like, maybe I wasn't even smart. I always think that to myself.
Oh, yes, she is.
I always think that to myself. I'm like, was I even smart, or did she just make me believe I was smart, and it made me put in the work? Because it didn't come naturally. It took tutoring. It took a lot of questions. I would stay behind in class and ask my teacher, like, hey, what do I need to do to get an A? And I remember they would be like, well, you're passing. And I'd be like, well, no, I want an A. So that was in college, so that really helped me, because obviously when you're younger, it's different. But
I love that. Perfect. So how do you plan to advance to the next level? What are your plans?
What I mentioned earlier, like that this is like a character development opportunity for me. So every year I try to implement something different, And right now I'm really focused on self-mastery. My biggest flaw, or something that I struggle with, is discipline. So I want to really master myself, and I started off with, like, for example, taking cold showers. I committed to taking cold showers.
That's a good one. That's
Yeah,
a good one.
So I'm putting myself in pain on purpose so that I can kill
Voluntarily.
Yeah, so I can kill the part that makes you give up, right? So, well, no, I really want to just stick to, I don't know how to explain it, but that's what I'm working on. Self-mastery, just enduring pain.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's actually really good for you.
Because it'll help me in my career, it'll help me with my family,
Yeah.
with, inner self-growth, all of that.
It helps, cold plunges actually help you with your metabolism. It speeds up your metabolism, and it kind of quick starts your day if you do it in the morning.
So I quit drinking like energy drinks and stuff like that. So I did some research, and it said that cold showers also help you like get dopamine, and it's true. I'm happy, and it'll be 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
It'll be 7 in the morning, and I'm really excited. So that's what it is that it helps me with. But I'm just doing it, like I said, to
Master yourself.
master discipline. That's what I'm working towards.
Yeah, because
I love it.
It's not easy. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's great.
That's what I'm working on, because I'm disciplined, but I'll be disciplined day 1, 2, 3, 4, I slack, and then give up by 5 and 6. So I'm trying to, and that's of course in my personal life, but I believe that in your personal life is a domino effect to everything else in your life.
Absolutely. And I think we all, have to work on discipline. It's something that every day we should, be disciplined. And
Someone once said that you'll never be 100% disciplined. And it's just, you have to choose the areas where you must be disciplined, because maybe the areas that you must be disciplined are not the areas where I must be disciplined, but you have to choose and create yourself. Like, you design yourself the way that you need to be in order to be the best you at what you do.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, self-mastery, because at work, it just comes naturally to me, I guess you can say. But I know that if I master my personal life, I'll be greater at my profession.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
So if you could give one piece of advice to, let's say we have a viewer that wants to become a real estate agent, what would that piece of advice be?
To stick to it. You always told me, finish what you start. So of course, see if it's for you, and then once you realize that it is, stick to it and don't give up.
How long do you think, as your personal opinion, that it would take for somebody to say, okay, I gave it my best and it's not for me? How long?
I think a year.
A year?
A year. Because realistically,
that's giving it your best.
Yeah,
right?
Giving it your best. Because realistically, your first 3 months, you're really new, and then your next 3 months, you are a little bit more confident about it, and then everywhere else you'll be able to see if you're compatible to it or not. But as we mentioned, there's so many different fields within real estate that you can venture out to see what fits you.
So speaking of that first year, I have a question, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm just thinking about, let's say somebody is a real estate agent. They've already went through the tests, the school test and your state license test, and they're in this first year, but they have a home that they have to take care of, or let's say they have babies that they have to take care of, and they have to have some type of income coming in, because like you all said, that first year is tough.
Oh,
what do you suggest?
You can't depend on it to make a living your first year, or like it really helped me that my first year, um, I didn't have to. My mom was taking care of me,
Okay.
so I wouldn't advise someone to quit their job and
Okay.
go fully into real estate, because you're going to be investing your time and your money more than
More
what
than-
you'll be receiving.
Okay, so maybe a part-time job.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. One of the agents that I have, on my team, he used to be a private, not a private, first responder investigator.
Hmm.
So he kept his job
Okay.
the whole time, like the full-time job. And I think it took him like 2 years, he said, to be able to quit his job. So I would definitely say to have income coming in.
Okay.
And that could mean, since there's so many things that you can do with your license, that could mean to work as a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
That way you can learn about real estate, you can learn about the contracts, you can take advantage of the classes that the team provides, and be around other agents, be
Right.
in real estate conversations. So
Right.
I would say, if you do want to pursue a career in real estate, surround yourself with real estate people, if possible. And if you have a really good job, I mean, keep it. Keep it until you are able to replace your job with real estate. Because, like we said, it is a business, and it does require an investment of your time and money in advance.
Yeah, because the best way to do it is full time. But realistically, when you're starting, there's just um, no way that you can do it unless you have someone completely taking care of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. And I also think it's important that people surround themselves with, like, let's say you surround yourself with a real estate environment, and then eventually you become one.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of studies that show that whoever you surround yourself
Yeah.
with, that's who you become.
You are the average of the 5 people around you.
I believe it.
You are the average.
I believe it.
Yes, yes, that's a really good exercise. Look around and see the people that you are surrounding yourself with, because
You are
you're gonna
them.
be the average of those.
Yeah. So before we close off, I know, Vanessa, you love to read, and I love to read too. So I want to ask you, and we've shared books together, and I love she always recommends me great books, and I recommend her great books. So what's your favorite book? Do you have one right now, or do you recommend one for viewers?
So with this, it's funny because when I started off on your team, I remember you would tell us that we were going to have kind of something like a book club, right? And I remember thinking to myself, because I always like to know the purpose of what I'm doing. So I would think to myself, I wonder if this is like team bonding, or what is it? Why are we doing this? But now, like, with the time that I've been in real estate, I realized, because I've always read, but I would read books for fun,
Right.
like fiction and history, not, but she started me off with a book called Relentless, and it was amazing. I really resonated with it.
Relentless.
By Tim Groover. I really resonated with it. And then I also personally, I love another book that I can read over and over. It's called The Way of the Seal by Mark Twain. I love his the way that he implements he's a Navy SEAL, so I love how he implemented that into business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really like those.
I love that.
Those are my two favorites that I can read over and over.
I think we also read Can't Hurt Me, and he's also he was an ex-Navy SEAL, if I'm not mistaken. That's a great book too. But
Yeah, you really like that one.
I love that book. Can't Hurt Me. It's
I love Navy SEAL books.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like stuff like that.
They tackle the mind.
Lone Survivor is a good one too. It talks about the process of them becoming Navy SEAls, and that is what helped him, like, accomplish the mission. yeah, it's really, really good book.
Yeah. The mission itself is pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. But I personally, on those parts, I kind of skimmed through it because I'm like, yeah, okay. But I like the training and how it helped him with life. Just because, I don't know, I guess I'm like really corny, but I'll be doing like something random and I'm like, wow, that spoke to me with life.
Yeah.
So like I took my older aunt that she was here from Mexico to the strawberry farm. And we were picking strawberries and she was like way ahead of me. She was like, there's no more. Like, we got to move on. We got to go to the other side. And I like started picking through them. There was like a lot of branches or leaves. And I was like, no, look, there's more under here. And they're way bigger and prettier. And then I looked at her and I said, I feel like that spoke to me with life.
You're like, I was meant to find that strawberry.
Yeah, and then I started doing it and there was plenty of strawberries. We didn't have to go to a different field. Not field, but the other row, the other column. Yeah. I said there's plenty. There, like we filled up the entire bucket just from like that little piece of strawberries that everyone had missed because they weren't at the top. So I feel like that in life, that sometimes you want things to be easy, but you have to like go deeper, do more work, and that's where the real harvest is.
I love that. You have to dig deeper. You have to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
You have to get in there and get messy and get dirt all in your hands.
Yeah, stay humble that you're never too good to do dirty work,
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
I love that. Yes. Well, great. Thank you so much for all the information.
Thank you.
You are a very successful agent and we have so much to learn from everything that you share with us. And as we mentioned, this is a 75-hour course, and I would say maybe like in 3 months you should be done, right? 3-4 months maximum, and you can make between 40 to 120,000 as an average. And of course, in real estate, the sky is the limit as well. And we're gonna publish the name of the school here down in the comments. If you have any other questions for our panelists, feel free to add them on the comment section, and I'm sure Vanessa will be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode.